So now I'm going to talk about the power of Paraiba as I see it, as an influencer, as a disruptor, and as a game changer. So, and that is the Paraiba wave ring, which is 46.91 carats from Mozambique. And yeah, that again is in my collection. So you're welcome to come and look at it. So why is Paraiba tourmaline an influencer? Well, it's got a special name. It's actually an Elbite, Cuprian Elbite tourmaline, but again, that's a mouthful, like spodumene and zoisite. So it's called Paraiba after the Paraiba state of Brazil, and it is now a trade name. So it's like any other trade name. It's called after the place. And the problem for people buying these tourmalines in the last few years, the dealers always charged more for Brazilian gemstones. And the Nigerian and the Mozambique gems were slightly less expensive, just because they thought there was a cachet to the Brazil. So of course, everyone that had bought Brazilian gemstones wanted the name Paraiba just for Brazilian gems. Because they had paid such a lot more for Brazilian gems, so they wanted that Paraiba. But then everybody started calling all these tourmalines Paraibas. So there was a big, conflab, and in the end, it was decided that the trade name Paraiba can be used now for this particular copper-bearing Elbite tourmaline, whichever country it comes from. So it has influenced the market, and why has it disrupted the market? It's disrupted the market because all of a sudden it appeared out of left field, while people are still saying, huh, what is it? Well, it's not a diamond, why is it so expensive? It's just a tourmaline. Why am I paying so much money? Well, as with anything, it's beauty and rarity. And the rarer something is, whatever it is, the more people want it. The more people want to own something that is rare. And because still this copper-bearing Elbite tourmaline is rare, I mean, Hong Kong has a lot, because Hong Kong is such an amazing jewellery place. We all love jewellery. There's thousands probably of jewellery shops. And we have the jewellery fair, and we are very open to all these gemstones. But many people will never have heard of this gemstone, and will never have even seen it. And in many places in the States, or UK, Europe, they will never have seen this gemstone. And really, this tourmaline is a game changer, because for the first time ever, a so-called semi-precious gemstone is commanding such a lot of money. So what's so semi about it? And in fact, when you look back in the history books, actually the term semi-precious was coined in 1858, and it was used for amethyst. Before that, amethyst was extremely rare, special and precious. It was the gemstone of the Pope, the gemstone of kings, of royalty, and amethyst was always seen as a very regal, royal, precious stone. And then in 1858, an enormous mine deposit appeared, was discovered in Brazil, and all of a sudden the world was flooded with amethyst. And in fact, amethyst was used very widely in mourning. When somebody had died, you did not wear diamonds, you did not wear pearls. First you wore jet, which is a black stone, jet, and after that you wore garnet, a red pyrope garnet, and after that you wore amethyst in the third year. And after those 3 years of mourning, you could then go back to wearing normal jewellery. So amethyst became associated with mourning jewellery. This is certainly from the UK, from the Victorians in the 1800s. So actually, if you are a gemologist, if you are a collector, there is no precious and no semi, because you can have a very cheap sapphire and very expensive aquamarine. You can have a cheap ruby and very expensive Paraiba tourmaline. So what's precious, what's semi-precious? And AGTA in America, the American Gem Trade Association, say if you are a member of the AGTA, you are recommended and in fact required not to use the words semi-precious and precious, because it's on that nomenclature is for you look at each stone in its own right, and then you can say, you know, how that stone is. So semi-precious and precious is this has definitely disrupted that terminology, and it has become a game changer in the field of investment and collecting. So it's very hard to find values for Paraiba tourmaline, and also, again, it's on a gem by gem basis. You could say all tourmalines from Brazil, or all Mozambique, or all, you know, or all in general, whatever the quality. So this graph is, it's very hard to actually get a good graph of how the Paraibas have gone up. But as with most graphs, you will find that when there is a lot of supply, the prices go down. And when there's a lot of demand and not so much supply, the prices go up. And then in the last 10 years, of course, we've had the whole of China come online as collectors and investors. And in fact, China has a long history of a love affair with tourmaline. And the Empress Shi loved pink tourmaline. And there was a mine in Pala in California, and she basically bought the whole mine's worth of pink tourmaline. They shipped all that pink tourmaline over to China, and it was used for snuff bottles and for beautiful carved ornaments. And I meant to include a few of the snuff bottles for you, but they're exquisite. So when the Chinese came back into buying and collecting, of course, prices for everything start going up, because you've got a whole other new sort of country coming on board to buy. But basically, this shows you that it's just going up. So, for the first time ever, you have a so-called semi-precious stone, a tourmaline, a Ceylan coming up for sale at Christie's and Sotheby's and the major auction houses. And so we just did a run through. These are all from Christie's, and I'll show you the pictures so you can have a look at the different gems. But this just shows you how it was. So 2003, 29,000 carat, hardly anything on the market. 2007, dropped. 2008, started to go up. 2009, went down. 2015, look at that, an amazing hike, price hike. 2016, and then now, for the first time in 2018, $194,000 US per carat. So the B shows that each of these particular Paraiba jewellery pieces had a Brazilian certificate. And I've forgotten what the star meant for that one now. But anyway, they had a Brazilian certificate. in those days, in 2003 and 7, nobody bothered with Brazil or not Brazil because it was just Paraiba tourmaline and it was from Brazil, or maybe it was from Mozambique, but nobody was particularly bothered. It just was a beautiful Paraiba. Now, people know that if they want to really get big money, they need a Brazil cert. Is it any better? Who knows? But that is what the market is requiring at the moment. So these are the different colours that you can find in Paraiba. You find intense turquoise through to intense violet and purple. Very beautiful colours, and I brought a selection of colours to show you. So just running through, this is 2003. So that was in Hong Kong, that sale in 2003. And it was 29,000 per carat, and it's 8.9 carat. And I think as people know, anything over 5 carats is an investment stone. Anything, you know, diamonds after 5 carats, it becomes more of an investment. 8.9 carats, that's, you know, and it says unexceptional Paraiba tourmaline with a Gemalista certificate. And it doesn't say there that it's from Brazil because it was just obvious that was from Brazil because there weren't any others. And if you remember the first crystal that we saw at the beginning, that is that same colour. It's this cobalt blue that is an amazing blue. Although for me it's not my favourite blue, but that is considered the world-class blue. This is 8,000 US per carat, sold in November, Hong Kong, 2007. Again, no Brazil, but it says that it's a natural 17 carat, 17.5 carat, beautiful. That will be the most beautiful ring. That will just be the most gorgeous turquoise. This one was sold in the UAE and is beautiful with a little pink diamonds and rose cut diamonds. But this only went for 7,000 US per carat, and it's 11.06, and it's a rare Paraiba. So these are the first pieces of Paraiba jewellery to come on the secondary market. So they are second-hand, somebody has bought them and they're now selling them on this secondary market. So just checking the price. This beautiful 15.7 carats in Hong Kong, May 2008. So Jewels, the Hong Kong sale. So this wouldn't have been their premier sale. You know, the premier sale would be magnificent. This one is the Hong Kong sale, and it works out at 11,797 per carat. And again, as we know, a heart shape there's a lot of wastage. That is a very expensive cut, and it's also a very difficult cut because you've got 2 halves that have got to be the same. So there will be a big oval, and out of that oval you have to cut the perfect heart. So that cut alone will be sort of double the price of an oval, and that's 15 and nearly 16 carats. That's stunning. So this one caught my eye in 2016, and I thought, aha, it started. I knew at some point that the prices would start to go up and that people would start to realise their investments. And this was the first one that we noticed. This is 6.4 carats. It's got a Brazil cert, and it sold in Hong Kong for nearly $3 million in 2016. And it's, yeah, 6.5 carats. Then, oh, this is 2015, sorry, we've got them round the wrong way here, but this one, $34,500 US per carat, and it's 4.6 with a Brazil stud. So it shows us that these intense cobalt blue Brazilian gems, there's not many in the market, even 4.6 kind of carat, and the big ones, I think, are being held back. The big investors from the beginning in that first Brazilian mine in Paraiba were the Japanese, and also a Hong Kong jeweler called Lorenzo. If anybody remembers Lorenzo. And Lorenzo was one of the first people to invest in Paraiba tourmalines in Brazil, and there was a consortium with a Japanese consortium, the Hong Kong, Lorenzo, and the Brazilians, and between them they had a monopoly on the two mines and the new mine that was found. And in fact, I'm sure there are some exquisite Paraiba tourmalines lurking around Hong Kong somewhere, and at some point they'll start to be sold. So this is Geneva, and it's a magnificent jewel sale, and of course the European sales, they choose different jewellery than they do for the Hong Kong sales or the Japanese sales, or it's different taste. We all have different sensibilities, different tastes, different things that we like. This one is from Brazil. It is $44,000 US per carat. And what it shows is there's no clarity enhancement, but there's low temperature heating. And that's because nearly all of the Cuprian elbite tourmalines are heated. And it's nothing terrible. Everybody seems to think heating is like, oh my God, don't heat, don't heat. But in fact, some of the pink Paraibas, if you very, very slightly heat them, low temperature heating, the copper and the iron and the vanadium manganese molecules jump. They jump and they explode into turquoise, and they stay like that. So it's nothing terrible, and many, many tourmalines are low temperature heated, and many of them come out of the ground that colour. So the geologists have to do a very careful examination of the crystal rough to discover whether, if it's very slightly heated, it will jump to being turquoise, or if it's very slightly heated, it will just stay the same colour. So for a lot of the Cuprian elbite tourmalines, they actually are the most beautiful colours, and I think at some point they are going to be called Paraibas because they have the copper, the vanadium, they have everything in them. It's just they're not blue. They are pinks and purples. So I'm going to be talking about Paraiba pinks at some point because I've been collecting Paraiba pinks. So this one in Geneva, $44,000 per carat. So you can see that the Swiss, somebody fell in love with that ring and just thought, I love it. And this is the latest. And actually, I don't think it will get any better than this pair of earrings, except perhaps maybe there is a ring to go with it. And this was Hong Kong Magnificent Jewels, Christie's, November 2018. And one gemstone is rare, two is stratospherically rare. To have two of the same colour is amazing, because colours are very difficult to match. You have to have the same crystal, rough and cut, both of them. And also, again, like a heart shape, a pear shape is a very expensive cut. It starts off as a rectangle, and then you cut this pear. So these are an amazing pair of cobalt blue. And actually, Christie's put quite a long description about it, about this thing. And you can't see on here, but if you do look it up, there's further information, and it says that these are, that I think it's SFC, anyway, the certificate says that they are outstanding, and there's sort of nothing better than these. Truly a marvellous modern day collector's piece, and they are just the best of the best, and they are now $1.5 million Hong Kong dollars per carat. So you've seen how the Paraibas have gone from when I bought my little one, the 24,000 Hong Kong dollars, to, now this is not this, okay, that is considered the best. I don't particularly like that colour, but that's just me. So someone else will love that colour. For me, I love this colour. I love the turquoise. But that would not be considered the best of the best. That is considered the best of the best. So just to show you very quickly, this is how you conceptualize a gemstone, and something as big as this, you have to think who's going to wear it, how are they going to wear it, and how can you make it into a beautiful ring without it being over the top or vulgar or fussy. Or I always think the bigger a gemstone, the more elegant it has to be. You pare it down, and that's all you see is the stone. This actually is a Paraiba from Brazil, and this shows you sort of the before and the after. And this shows you the two certificates. So back in the day, in 2008, there was no GIA in Hong Kong. In fact, I went to GIA in the Lorenzo office in Hong Kong, where they divided the ceiling, and you had to climb up like a ladder and go like this, because you couldn't stand up, and you had to sit down on sort of like almost the floor, and that was GIA back in the day, probably like 30 years ago. Yeah. So when I was the first person actually to treat coloured gemstones with respect, like diamonds, and also I was always worried that I might get cheated, and I haven't got all the equipment to check. So I never ever wanted anyone to come back to me and say, Tayma, this isn't what you said it is. So I always had a certificate. And in those days, the AGIL was the only laboratory in Hong Kong that was testing coloured gemstones. And at the same time, they were also lecturing for the FGA, which is the UK version of GIA. So in fact, the AGIL students used to study using my gemstones, because I used to send them over to be certificated, and they would all study on them. But when I first invested in Paraiba, there was no microscope and no way to identify them. So Mr. Dominic Mock from AGIL, we used to have to hire the microscopes from Hong Kong U and take all our stones on one day, and he would do all the testing at Hong Kong U because they had all the correct things, and he would say which ones he used, which instruments, and do the X-ray fluorescence. And I actually had 2 of these, as you can see here, and this lady wanted the pair because she has 2 daughters and they are actually a matching pair. So I had 2 separate GIA certs done which state that they are from Brazil, and I had a certified true copy made of that cert so that this lady can have, or the daughters can have their own certificates each. But back in the day, in 2008, there was no way to test Paraiba. And I have to say, I have got certs from the last 15 years, and each one is sort of, not worse, but I just look at them and feel despair, because a lot of them, the terminology was incorrect. I actually had to write the terminology, and I went to see 2 lab owners and said, look at this, look at your report, would you say that this was this and this was that? And they went, no. And I said, exactly. There's got to be a continuity of nomenclature. And now the laboratories are all coming together to use the same terms. What is neon green? Well, this is neon green. What is neon turquoise? This is neon turquoise. So you have to have a consistency of description for the customer. And this remarks, so I had to write the remarks, and I thought, why am I writing the remarks? I want an independent certificate. But anyway, these are independent certs, and that is what we used to have in Hong Kong. That was the only way to certificate a Paraiba. This is a Paraiba that I bought for a client in about 2012. And as you can see, that is an original cobalt blue Paraiba. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And the thing is, you can only sell gemstones if you have clients. So I was very lucky to have a client that actually was looking for a gem like this, and I was lucky to find it. So that is one of those rings, gemstones, that it will appear at auction maybe one day, and will have gone up in value. So just to finish off, there's some pictures just to, oh, and then I wrote a poem. So if anybody's still awake, will I read it? So it's called Dreaming in Colour, because I love colour. And so this one is, those sparkling jewels are calling, twinkling stars in my sleep. I just can't stop thinking about them. I think I'm in it deep. I've been dreaming all night of Tayma fine jewellery, a tourmaline and diamond ring divine. Will you be mine? Caribbean blue Paraiba earrings, an iridescent opal flower, an aquamarine necklace keep me awake with their power. They tantalise and hypnotise, they sparkle and thrill. I really cannot sleep and feel like a chill. Such beautiful jewellery, each one handmade, legacy gemstones and rare jewels, all are Tayma's trade. I just can't resist those diverse colours divine, so Paraiba and diamond ring, will you be mine? Thank you very much.